Hi, this is Martin from Alpha Yoga School, and this video is going to be about physical adjustments, particularly forward folds. We will use Padanghustasana as an example of most popular forward fold. So Joanna, if you can get into Padanghustasana. So her index finger and middle finger is holding her big toes, and the big toes are pressing into the fingers. First adjustment which I would offer is someone who is a bit tighter in their hamstrings. He needs to get out of round spine. So the first adjustment every good teacher should use is to get the person out of the pose. In other words, but how to arrive and how to do it safely. In all these adjustments, you usually, if someone's in the forward fold, you want to first announce your arrival by placing your hand on their sacrum. It is not the lower back, it is not the glutes, it is the sacrum here. I use my fingers open and spread, and I'm using only the crown of my palm as a point of contact. There is no need to grab. I use my index finger and middle finger to hold her trapezius and simply lift her up by the trapezius, just like that. And say, extend your spine, look at your toes, and breathe. This would be the first adjustment if someone has a tendency to posterior tilt. Extend the knees instead of bending them and extending the spine. He's simply there. So you take the person out of the pose, you arrive, place your hand, lean in, grab the index finger, middle finger, trapezius, and say, look up, and then look at your toes. Yeah? Fantastic. Come out carefully. Next adjustment, we will cover someone who is, I would divide it into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. There are different adjustments and different opportunities to help the students. First, the adjustment how to adjust someone who needs bent knees and again is not responding to your verbal cues. So Joanna, apply the pose and extend your knees around your spine a lot. So how do you adjust someone? How do you make them to bend their knees? The best approach is as follows. I announce my arrival by placing my foot next to her head, leaning over, putting my shoulder and my arm over on her hamstrings. My second hand is on the hamstring, and simply say, bend your knees, and help her to do that. What is important here is the arrival, then making sure that she feels that I'm not going to push her back, I'm holding her, and make sure that she doesn't feel anything here and feels like she's going to be moved forward. You want to make the students feel that you are in control of their stability. That's why this shoulder is preventing her to fall forward, and my hands on her hamstrings are telling that, and I'm not going to let her fall back. And then simply attack her knees and bend them. That would be the approach how to bend the student's knees. Relax, Joanna. Come up carefully. Good. The next adjustment is pretty much the same, but it's going to start deepening the pose. So if Joanna gets into the pose, this time it's more of a beginner intermediate. So you will be higher up, somewhere here. The pelvis is, the sacrum is more like parallel with the floor. There is no good anterior tilt. Like if this is her deepest expression, her sacrum is leaning towards the floor. If she would be a beginner, her pelvis would be like parallel with the floor. So we want to attack that pelvis. We don't want her to push her into the chest, around her spine more. No, we approach the area which we are trying to improve. Again, I arrive, place my hand under her head so she knows that I'm arriving. Lean in, my foot next to her head. Lean in, take hold of the hamstrings. Again, I do not have to grab her anywhere else. It's the hamstrings between above the knees. Lean in, put my shoulder on her. This time, I don't want her to bend the knees because she's reasonably flexible, and I'm going to press that shoulder into the lower back. And she should feel very good anterior tilt. Relax, release the pose. So this would be beginner to intermediate. One different adjustment for beginner to intermediate. This time I would say that you should turn towards the camera, Joanna. Apply the pose. In the adjustment, it's equally important to look at the student's alignment, but it is almost more important to understand when you as a teacher must stand. In other words, you have to memorize the stance which you apply before you even adjust. When I want to deepen someone who is beginner to intermediate, so she's going to be higher up slightly, there, relax the neck. I arrive by placing my hand on her sacrum and immediately place my knee in front of her shoulder blade. If you as a teacher would be a shorter person and you would be, say, adjusting a guy who would be much taller, it could be your thigh. In my case, it's the knee on my tippy toes. The most important thing about this stance is this leg, which is aiming for the shoulder blade, or the thigh, which is aiming for the shoulder blade, is not a standing leg. It is this leg which is standing. This is simply allowing me to control her balance, because if I didn't have that leg here and I just started adjusting her, I might have pushed her. I wouldn't feel that I'm pushing her forward until she falls. And also she will resist my adjustment because she will not feel secure in this hold. I place my hand on the bra line, which is below the shoulder blades. Come up slightly, be a beginner to intermediate, relax your neck. I arrive, put my thigh there. I am with the shoulders, not with the hip. Tendency is this. You think you need to stand with the pelvis. It's not the point. You're standing where this knee falls. That's where your standing leg stands. Together. Hand on the bra line, open palms, and push in the direction of your fingertips. I'm extending my arms, not using small muscles, bending the elbows, moving her pelvis forward. She's very flexible. Okay, don't be so flexible, Joanna. So just move slightly down there, and this is where probably the body move. I am moving her in that direction, slight movement. The animation would be knee in front of her scapula, hand on the sacrum, hand on the bra line, moving the hands in that direction. I'm moving her slightly towards her toes, and the hand is moving down and there. Not squeezing, not bending the elbow. Yes, and if you were get into the pose again, if you had a really tall person, say the pelvis would be here, you simply would be thinking, what am I supposed to do here? You simply bend the elbow, place the hand on the pelvis like this, lean in, and same adjustment. Forearm on her sacrum, and so on. In the exit, which is very important, you take your fingers, put them on the trapeze, you say, look up and lengthen. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, come all the way up. Help the student to exit the pose as well. Fantastic. Next adjustment, a very efficient adjustment, which is somewhere for intermediate to advanced is from the side of the back. So if you get into the pose like this, what I'm going to do is she will be intermediate, so her scapula are quite low. If you are a beginner, your scapula are way above your knees, somewhere at your thigh level. But if you start having students who have good anterior tilt of their pelvis, you can come, say, relax your neck so that you clear the space, arrive, place the knees against her scapula, reach and hold their hamstrings, and simply sit back as you push into the scapula. What is the trick here is that if you come already squatting, you will simply push her. You want to come, relax the neck, stand more like in a skiing pose, and only after you apply the knees towards the against the shoulder blades, only then you start sitting down. What is the trick is that once you come slightly standing and you sit down, the knees move the scapula forward. This is the movement. If you come already squatting, then you start actually pushing instead of using your body weight like a hydraulic pressure, which will nicely, slowly and gently move while your stability is very, very secure for her. Don't forget to hold the hamstrings here, yes? And this is intermediate to advanced. What's the difference between beginner, intermediate, and advanced in the alignment? It's the space the person has between their belly and thighs. So if Joanna comes into a beginner pose, hold your big toes and come up as a beginner around your spine. This is not touching. Intermediate this is advanced, intermediate will have almost the thighs all very close to the belly, and that means that you can still improve their folding and getting the belly in touch with the thighs. But what will you do if you have an advanced practitioner who already is in full expression, belly on their thighs? Well, there is no much of a help if you start pushing them in there, because there is already, the body, the torso has nowhere else to go because it's already pressing against the thighs. What is the aim of this pose is a length in the spine. So this is what we are going to try to improve for an advanced student. Joanna gets into the pose, her belly is already touching thighs. I will come, and this time I will place my foot right directly under her head, lean in, put my shoulder against her just so that she feels that she's stable. I will grab her scapula, so their shoulder blades here where they create a little hump, just like that. My thumbs will hold that. Lean her towards me so that she feels secure, and simply use that bone to pull her down like this. So if she would be out of the pose slightly, even though, so we get out, I will do it again. Arrive, lean in, put my shoulder against her against her sacrum or lower back, grab her shoulder blades, pull down in that direction. I'm going to show it there. So there is no more pressing torso towards the legs. It's simply elongation of the spine. Inhale, come up. Another adjustment, which I call the small touch adjustments, which were given to us by David Swenson, author of the Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga Manual, is small touch adjustments, sometimes so effective. This was all very hands-on, so we will show you how to do small adjustments. So this way, stand this way.
I'm going to keep my knees bent.
Keep your knees bent. Yeah, it's tiring. So first of all, if someone's looking at the floor like this, how do you tell them to fix their head? Come up. You simply say, relax your head. Or if someone's bending the head in, chin in, you simply say head up, stop. Place your hands on her elbows and say, press into my elbows. So this is a misalignment of having arms like this or having legs like this. Simply say, press into my hands, press into my hands, press into my hands, and press against the elbows so that the person has some resistance. The person must create a resistance. Another adjustment for the shoulders to being close to their ears. If there is a pressure and tension in the shoulders, you simply say, lift your shoulders and tap on her trapezius. And last very effective adjustment, I would probably do all three together. First, I would come, say, lift your shoulder blades, press into my hands. Fantastic. Stay there. And then press into my hand with your head. Press into my head. And again, you as an adjuster are pressing into the head so that she has a resistance to fight. Yes, fantastic. Okay, this would be several options because every body is different. Every student will have a different flexibility level, and that will mean that you will need for forward folds, which is after downward dog, or the second most important asana to adjust. You need to have a portfolio of adjustments, small touch adjustment, beginner adjustment, intermediate person, advanced. If you can help all the spectrum of students, you will have many students coming to you. Thank you very much.